This is the Grand Canyon. One of the seven wonders of the world, it is without question a magnificence so bold, powerful, emotional, and complex that it overwhelms our senses. It's impossible to describe in the words of our or any other language the spectacle that is the Grand Canyon. Theodore Roosevelt once said, "The Grand Canyon has a natural wonder which is, in kind, absolutely unparalleled throughout the rest of the world." Most who visit here enthusiastically agree. Declared a UNESCO National Heritage Site in 1979, it's over 277 river miles long, 18 miles wide, and a mile deep. Grand Canyon National Park covers over 1,900 square miles. Another measure of how deep and rugged is the canyon, a trip to the bottom of the canyon and back by mule or on foot is a 2-day journey. The Grand Canyon is in northern Arizona. The largest major airport is Flagstaff, about 80 miles to the northwest. Most drive to the canyon, with the largest number of visitors to the south rim. There is, however, train service from Williams, which is a very scenic 2-hour journey to the south rim. Most trips are pulled by diesel engines, but this steam locomotive was rolled out for a February centennial round trip to the south rim. The locomotive has been converted to use recycled vegetable oil for fuel and reclaimed rain and snowmelt for water. The fare for this round trip was only $7.50, which is what it would have cost in 1912. Passenger cars for this trip are refurbished 1923 Harriman-style rail cars. Nearly 5 million visit Grand Canyon National Park, with the largest number going to the South Rim, which is the most accessible and open year-round. The North Rim is 1,000 feet higher in elevation, which requires it to close in winter, from late October to mid-May, with exact dates determined by the weather. It's about a 220-mile drive from the South Rim to the North Rim. A short portion of the trip runs through the middle of the Painted Desert on Navajo land. Grand Canyon National Park is a combination of multiple personalities. The South Rim, more people. The North Rim, a different view, climate, flora and fauna. Hiking trails and camping in the canyon is a way to get away from it all. And last but not least, traveling the Colorado River through the middle of the canyon, an outstanding adventure. We'll get back to this later in the program. There's a new 2012 visitor center here at Mather Point. Consistent with the Park Service environmental impact mandate, this new facility is about 30% powered by solar. Inside, a vast expanse of park information and interactive tools about Grand Canyon. There's a 20-minute film in the attached theater. In another theater, a unique presentation, Science on a Sphere. Exhibits include interactive trip planning, a huge 3D map that allows visitors an opportunity to see video from various locations around the park. There are a variety of cultural and historic displays, antique boats from the river's early adventurers. This is likely the busiest place in the park, and Mather Point is clearly popular with sweeping views of the canyon. The Grand Canyon has been a magnet for photographers who are mesmerized by the constantly changing light and color. Every day at every hour of daylight, there's a new scene to be captured in and around the Grand Canyon. Our preference is during magic hour at the beginning and end of the day.
Well, we came from Australia to see this, and nothing in the magazines does it justice.
No.
It's just absolutely awesome.
You could
You're
never ever get
speechless,
enough
yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
Is this your first time to Arizona?
Yes.
Yeah, this is our first time to the United States, yeah. So,
Something I've wanted to see for a very long time.
yeah.
It's worth waiting for.
You can't describe it. It's just the scale of it is awesome. It's so big, and you couldn't even see a person on down the bottom. It's just absolutely amazing.
It's wonderful.
Yes, it is.
It's just the changes that the sun brings, and it's just amazing to watch.
Seems to change every second.
It certainly
the moment.
does. You don't want to turn away because you miss the nuances.
It's beautiful, it really is. It's just gorgeous. The differences when light comes in is really fantastic.
It seems to change. I mean, the picture changes every moment almost.
Yeah, it does. And of course, getting up this early in the morning to see it is pretty good. It is worth it. It's really beautiful.
It is a spectacular place to be. All of Arizona is. The desolateness of the landscape, the dryness, the scrubbiness is so marvelous when you're from a more green area. And it changes so fast. Not only here in the morning in the sunrise, but as you're driving through, it's constantly different. It's exciting to drive through it, even if you're on a boring straight road.
And how was the sunrise this morning?
Oh, it was wonderful. It really was. I was so glad there were those little clouds over on the horizon. That makes it so much more pink in the sky and makes it so much prettier.
Oh, it's amazing. We've been here several times, and yesterday we hiked down into the canyon for the first time, and I feel completely differently about it now. I feel part of it. It's a wonderful place.
Does it? Yeah.
Even at midday, this pair of commercial photographers on the way home from a shoot made a detour to drive through the park and couldn't resist setting up their 4x5 view camera for a shot or two.
So what are you putting on there? This is it's a 85C. It's a warming filter. See, it kind of gives it just like a kind of a sunset glow. And then we added another filter on here, a polarizer, which kind of darkens the background and leaves the foreground light enough to kind of contrast off the back.
Makes the sky jump a little bit.
Yeah, it darkens the sky a little.
Well, the sky would usually blow out a little bit, especially in the sun.
Shooting 4x5. It's a good format for scopes. It's 8x10. We have those cameras too, but they're a little heavier, so
we are too lazy.
to
drag that out,
yeah. But shh, don't tell anybody. But we figured we'd take advantage of this beauty.
Take a look through the lens, what that looks like.
I don't know. Yeah, I think that's what separates the pros is the actual taking the time and knowing what you're looking for and exposure and stuff like that.
Framing difficult?
That's my favorite part, I guess. I don't know. That's the fun part. It's just finding, where if you move the camera an inch to the left,
it makes the picture totally different.
Absolutely, completely different picture.
Yeah.
So, I think composition's very important, and also it can be difficult, but it's the fun part of photography, I think.
And if this is your profession, why do you do it?
Because look where we are. I don't know. I think I like to play with toys. I really do. I like cameras. I like gimmicky stuff, fixing things and setting up stuff. I liked Legos as a kid, and cameras are kind of like that. And, and then I also like capturing stuff and memories and being able to, a month or two from now or years from now, look back at this slide and think about that day or just, capture the beauty. I don't know, it's a great job.
Yeah, plus our office is a different place all the time.
Yeah.
Changes up.
Yeah, not a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
There are a variety of accommodations on the South Rim, 7 hotels. The flagship for all is the historic El Tovar Hotel. in Grand Canyon Village. Opened in 1905 and most recently renovated in 2005. Across the road is Hopi House, which was also built in 1905 and designed by Mary Coulter. It's one of 8 buildings she designed in the park. Here, there are shops and a gallery featuring Native American art. The yard ornaments around the hotel, mule deer roaming the grounds here, paying little attention to human traffic. Wildlife in the park consists of a variety of birds, including California condors, desert bighorn sheep, elk, javelina, and mule deer. There are a couple of ancient Pueblo ruins on the south rim. Tusayan Pueblo was home to about 30 ancient Puebloans 800 years ago. There's a museum here, plus ruins from their village surrounding. These people were farmers, growing corn, beans, and squash. Their construction was pretty typical of the ancient Pueblos of the time. So here, they used limestone blocks, sticks, and a mud-type mortar to keep it all together. Park Service information panels help stimulate one's imagination, putting together what life may have been like here. At the historic Kolb Center, an archaeology exhibit honoring these ancient sites that hold deep significance for present-day indigenous people. Between 2006 and 2009, Grand Canyon National Park joined with the Museum of Northern Arizona for the park's largest excavation project in nearly 40 years. During that time, teams of archaeologists excavated 9 sites along the Colorado River. The results of their effort revealed important new stories about the lives of the people who made the Grand Canyon their home. In this exhibit, experience the stories that archaeologists uncovered. It was sponsored by Grand Canyon National Park, the Museum of Northern Arizona, and Grand Canyon Association. Desert View Tower is another historic Mary Coulter creation, built in 1932. As you climb the stairs of the tower, there are many stories embedded in the paintings and artwork which decorate the walls. The first gallery was done by Fred Cabote, a Hopi from Second Mesa. These represent the physical and spiritual origins of Hopi life. The ceiling images, painted by Fred Geary, are recreations of images from Abo Rock Shelter, now part of the Salinas National Monument in New Mexico. A journey to the North Rim crosses Navajo Bridge, the only highway bridge across Grand Canyon. Cathedral Rock in the Vermilion Cliffs National Monument is the most significant landmark at this point on the Colorado. For over 25,000 years, condors watched over this land, but in the early 20th century, they were gone. But since 1996, there's been an active condor reintroduction program in progress in Grand Canyon National Park and the surrounding area. Wildlife biologists from the Peregrine Fund are here spearheading the condor reintroduction program and monitoring these amazing creatures to help them adapt to their new life of freedom.
Do you want to head out to the site for roost then?
Yeah, whatever you want me to do.
That would be awesome.
So you want me to get on the bottom or?
Yeah, that would be great, and give Betty a hand trying to get visuals on birds. And the 3 that we're really concerned with are those ones that we released in March.
Okay.
272, 274, and 281. And we just want to make sure they're in safe spots for roost.
Did you give me my sheet back, my cheat sheet?
I don't think so.
Okay. That's all right.
No.
She's got one.
And just
should write those down.
And then those 3.
So, Angel, what were you going to just say, though? You said...
Oh, the 257 had made it back. I was a badger and...
He was up flying here a while, because we kept getting him upriver and then downriver, and he was over there flying, so he
So when I got there it was around 2:30. I heard him, And it was right over Marble Canyon Lodge, and I just thought, wow, that bird's either up or it's back at the at the bridge. And I kept moving and moving and moving, and I figured out, well, that's where he's headed to the back to the.
I was about to call you, tell you he was on the move, and not to worry about chasing him in circles.
What numbers did you say?
272, 274, and 281.
281. Okay.
And those are the three we're just.
All right
make
then.
sure in safe spots.
I'll head over there and check those out. Then.
That's awesome. Thanks for all the running around.
No.
Did you get your emails done?
Yeah.
Good.
You guys are doing? Why are you here?
We are raising, we've raised California condors in captivity, and we're releasing them about 25 miles from here. So we're basically monitoring them, making sure they're okay, teaching them to stay away from people, to keep their distance from people, and that sort of thing. So today, we're about 25 miles from our release site, and last night about 10 birds came over to this area. This is an area they really like to visit in April, May. So we're just basically monitoring them, making sure they're okay, making sure people don't get too close to them and things like that.
So what organization are you with? I mean, why?
I work with a group called the Peregrine Fund. It's a nonprofit conservation organization, and we are responsible for the reintroductions of condors in Arizona. We have other projects, reintroduction projects all over the world, but here in Arizona we're focusing on the condors. So
how is the project going?
It's going great. We have 36 condors in Arizona right now. There used to just be 22 left in the world. That was it. That was the low in 1982. So now to have 36 in Arizona is just amazing. So they're doing well. It's always a bit of a struggle. I mean, we're putting them out there without their parents, so we have to teach them to be afraid of people, teach them to roost in safe places at night so that they don't get attacked by coyotes or anything. So they're kind of, unlike a lot of birds that do everything by instinct, these guys take 6 to 8 years to grow up, and they do everything, they learn everything as they go. So we try to kind of push some of those lessons on them and teach them to learn those things faster, just so they can make it in our world. But they're doing great. This is such a tremendous area for them. I mean, they love playing on the beaches, and 10 of them earlier today were all bathing in the water, so we were watching them. They'd come out all drenched and drying out their wings, and they love playing on the beaches, hanging out on these cliffs here, and it's great soaring weather, so
how do you monitor
good spot for them. They are each wearing radio transmitters on their wings, so each of them has 2 radio transmitters, and then we track them and we follow their movements. So we keep tabs on them all day, every day. We have a crew of us keeping tabs on them, and they do travel really widely, especially in the spring and summer. For example, we had 4 of them were at Zion National Park a couple of days ago. They found a mule deer carcass up there, and they were feeding on them. One of them came back to our release area the night before last, and then went back up to Zion yesterday. So they really get around. Several of the birds that came in last night came up from the south rim of the Grand Canyon, which is 60 or so miles away. So they do get around. They usually return at some point to the release site. It's sort of their home base. In the wintertime, they spend a lot of time there. In the spring, they'll check in every few days or so. Sometimes in the summer, they won't come back to the release area for a couple of months, but then they'll swing by and check in. But in the meantime, we monitor them wherever they go. So keep an eye on them.
You're kind of like their parents now.
Exactly. They're surrogate parents. Although unfortunately, we're not always very nice parents, although I suppose that's natural. We have to harass them if they get too close to people. We have to teach them that people are unpredictable and dangerous. We had 2 shot last fall. They're actually in the forest near carcasses doing everything we hope and dream of them to do, but they don't know about guns. So, even though they were up in trees, they were probably vulnerable. So we are continuously trying to teach them to keep their distance. They're not inherently very wary of people. They're typical scavengers, very curious, a lot like ravens, very curious, very playful, and not innately wary of people. They probably were at one time at the top of their food chain. They didn't really have to worry about anybody else, so they're not very scared creatures. There's another one that just landed a little bit closer on the cliff. But as you've probably noticed from the video, they all wear number tags. That's what the white patches on their wings. Every one of them has their radio transmitters and a big number on each wing, so we can identify them and we can follow them around, and we get to know them incredibly well. We live through all their trials and tribulations, and they're all different. They all have different personalities, so you really get to know them and care about them. So it's a lot of fun. They have about a 9 to 9.5 foot wingspan, and they stand about waist tall, so it's the largest flying land bird in North America. So they're big. And you don't realize, when you see them on the cliff, we're actually at a pretty good distance, but when they come up and fly right over your head, you realize how big they are. Or if you see me near one of them, you'll realize how big they are. They're enormous birds. They weigh anywhere between about 16 to 24 pounds, typically, and very large. Thank you. No, you did it right. Okay. Thanks. So I'll just quickly check signals and see which birds we ended up losing. Do you want me to take notes then on this whole thing? I'll tell you after I'm done which ones I have. Just check periodically every hour or so to see if any other birds have arrived in the area. This is the signal on that male, 8-year-old male that was downriver there.
And what does it sound like?
Can you hear that beeping sound? So each bird's radio has a different frequency, so we can tell which individual is here. So we had several birds flying around here earlier that went back to our release site about 25 miles away. So, and then there's others still here.
What kind of range do you have on your radio?
We've received bird signals as far as 80 miles away. That's fairly unusual. If they're up really high soaring and we're up on a high point, you can pick them up really far away. Typically, if they go upriver in the canyon a couple miles, but they do have a pretty good range. And these birds travel extensively. Without having radio transmitters on them, it would be very hard for us to do our job.
What kind of a range do they have?
They, anywhere within probably 100+ mile radius of our release area, although sometimes they'll travel farther than that. We've had birds go up into Wyoming, a 600-mile round trip up into Wyoming. We've had them go up into southern Colorado, into southwestern Arizona. But normally they stay anywhere between here and the release area. The south rim of the Grand Canyon is a popular spot. The Kaibab Plateau they really enjoy. And like a few days ago we had 4 of them up at Zion National Park. So they do get around. We've had one of them traveled from the release area to the south rim over a 100-mile round trip in 2 hours. So they can really move. So makes it tough to keep tabs on them sometimes. This is a young bird, frequency of a young bird. His number is Condor 232, and his frequency is different from his number. That's also his other radio. But this is his first visit ever away from the release site, the first time he's ever been away from the site, and he left yesterday and came over here last night. So seeing the Colorado River for the first time, so he's doing really well. Exciting first trip. With 36 condors out there right now, each of whom has 2 radios, you have to scan through the 72 frequencies, so it takes a while.
So how did you get involved in this?
Oh, I've been doing wildlife work, especially bird work, for the last 10 years or so. So I was actually doing a job for the Peregrine Fund in Peru, and they called me and asked me to come up here to do the condor work. So
This is more than the job for you, isn't it?
this is a life, definitely, especially with these condors. You get so attached to them. We kind of all eat, live, and breathe condors, those of us who work on this project. We're working every day of the year, Christmas Day and New Year's, and we're always out there. But, what a nice office. You can't really argue with that. So it's a great job and a great experience. And for a bird that's so spectacular, having had it go so close to extinction, it's nice to play a role in trying to bring it back. So.
Vermilion Cliffs National Monument is on the way to the North Rim and to Lee's Ferry, where the Grand Canyon National Park begins on the Colorado River and the starting point for most raft trips. Though not part of the National Park Service, the Vermilion Cliffs National Monument encompasses a spectacular geology of sandstone formations, high cliffs, and rugged canyons. Lee's Ferry marks the border between Glen Canyon National Recreation Area, another National Park Service unit, and the Grand Canyon. For 9 miles upstream, the Colorado is relatively flat water that runs at a constant 45 degrees with some terrific trout fishing, which we'll cover in another show. Lee's Ferry is an historic river crossing. In 1864, Mormon John Hamblin was first to cross the river in a raft he and his men built to raid on the Paiutes in Arizona. Later in 1870, at the direction of the Mormon Church, notorious pioneer John Lee established an outpost and river crossing here. His assignment to this remote crossing was not because of his great talent as a boatman, but an excommunication for his association with the Mountain Meadows Massacre, for which he was executed in 1877. Lee, a practicing polygamist, built 2 stone and wooden houses for his families and set up an irrigation system at what became his Lonely Dell Ranch. The first real ferry was built in 1873, and over the years there has been a fort here, which later became a trading post, a residence, then a school, and a mess hall. The Lee's Ferry Fort is one of the few remaining buildings. There are a couple of other stone buildings, a boiler, and a sunken paddle wheel steamboat left over from a short-lived placer mining operation. Ferry operated until 1928. The Lonely Dell Ranch is just up a short trail from the parking area and was the residence of the various families who operated the ferry. Lee's Ferry, as we mentioned, is the beginning for most Colorado River floats, and on any given day during the season, there may be either commercial or private rafters gearing up for a trip. This day, there were both.
What are you guys doing?
Well, we're going 21 days down the Colorado. We've all taken time off our job. It's a private trip. It's a permit you get once every 10 years if you get it. And we're going to be in the bottom of the canyon for 21 days.
Why did you choose this river?
Because this is the most fantastic river in the world to do. I've done everything from the Flu to La Flu to rivers in Alaska, and this still beats them all. Yeah, it's the best. Oh, every corner you go around is a different temple. It's great. It's unbelievable. It's the best river in the world. The best. We've been doing this for 30 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So how many people, how many days, how many miles will you cover?
16 people, 236 miles, and we'll go through all the major rapids, including lava, crystal, horn, granite. It'll be a fantastic trip.
You gonna go through the middle, or you gonna go around the edges of it?
With this thing I can go by anything I want to, but I'll try to avoid most of the big holes. You don't want to end up upside down.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, this is just an 18-foot cat right here. It's just a big cat with tubes, and then it's got a big floor, and it's got a 14-foot floor in it. It was designed by a guy by the name of Eric Hurst out of New York, and it's a pretty good raft. The rest of the rafts down here are pretty much Sotars. Big good rafts. And this is what we do for our vacation. Oh yeah, water runs right out the bottom. You bet. Yeah. Yeah. The other thing that you really like in the canyon is the hikes. The side hikes are just amazing.
One of the key elements to a successful float trip, regardless if it is commercial or private, is planning, preparation, and organization.
Well, I've got that he has lunch.
And 13 to 14 potatoes, No, 13 to 14?
Yeah.
Because they're the big days.
Yeah, is that dry day? That's a dry box.
That's a dry box.
Oh, hang on. Okay.
And then we've got all the produce up here.
So 13 to 14 for dry?
And potatoes.
And potatoes. 13, 17.
So that's.
So you look like you're in charge of...
Inventorying the food.
And how important is that?
Very important. Yeah, it can be a disaster if you don't know where food is, especially if it's nasty weather or you get in late and you don't know where food is. It can cause a lot of problems. So if it's very organized, you know where it is, makes it very simple.
So how many boats are you?
7.
You're making sure you know where it is, and you're making sure that you have it, right?
Correct. Yeah, for the produce and also the dried foods. So we know where everything is, and we just make a list, and then the cook teams that cook for the day know where all their food is, and we try to set it up so whatever cook team is cooking, say if it's day one or day 2, that their food is actually in the boat, so it's easy. Sometimes you can do that, a lot of times you can't, but you can get kind of close.
Do you rotate cooking responsibilities?
We have cook teams, and we have 4 people to a cook team, and 2 people, or 4 days, or 2 days on for each cook team. So it works out really well. That way you don't have to cook all the time, and you have a vacation. So that's worked out very well. We've done that for years.
So can you read off a list of some of the items you're taking, or do you have it?
As far as food or just items?
Food?
Actually, we contracted through REO, and so we have wonderful dinners. We have steak, and we have, what all did we have, Diane? Fish? This is the menu queen.
Ah, okay,
I have
Diane.
a bit of a cold, so my voice is going.
Oh, it sounds
But
good.
my husband was the permit holder for this trip, so I was actually getting to watch all of the menus as they were being created. So it's rather extensive, 20 days for 16 people. And they don't skimp, so there's all kinds of stuff. They actually give us a lot of grief because most river rafting trips are used to roughing it, eating things like granola and candy bars. And we said, no, we want eggs, bacon, and hash browns for the whole trip, so we eat very well. It means we cook 3 times a day, but we like that. So.
Don't lose any weight.
No.
Don't lose any weight. Even when you row, you still don't lose. Yeah. So they have very good food. We have a lot of fresh fruit, vegetables, tacos, desserts, wonderful desserts. So just the way that we usually cook on the river, because we always eat very well, because that's usually the only time we eat like that during the year is when we're on river trips. So it works out really well.
In 1986, my partner Kelly and I floated the river with a legend, Georgie Clark White, the woman of the river, ran trips for 45 years down the Colorado. She was the first woman outfitter here and the first woman to swim the river. Actually, she did it 3 times. Her G-rig boats were the predecessors to current-day commercial pontoon boats. At the time we floated with her, she was 72. Georgie continued guiding until she was 80. Georgie developed a loyal core of repeat customers, with many returning year after year to join with her new batch of Royal River Rats, as she called them.
Last time we didn't get very wet. All we saw was the waves going.
Woo! Go, go, go!
This is toil and sweat and tears. You ain't going for it, huh?
That's not bad at all for a Monday afternoon. Nice clean water.
The unbridled joy that Georgie got from her river, on which she spent 45 years guiding, is written all over her face as we go through a small rapid. This is what she loves. It's her life.
Hey, George, tell us a story.
Roll, roll, roll your boat. Right?
Yeah. I don't add anything. The only thing I add is smoke. Everything else is self-contained and snappy top.
You have that smoke.
No, I got this spicy V8. All I add is a little smoke.
Rocks over here. We don't want to hit those rocks.
what's left? All right.
There was a slide, came into the river, and they're real sharp. If they cut a boat, you don't slide over them, you cut the boat. And in low water, for this boat is so big, there's almost nowhere for it to go. You have to hit one rock to miss another one. Hope it's round. And it's so swirly. Very little power, you go with the swirls. When it first came in, the rangers told me I'd never make it. He said, you'll never go through that one. And I said, well, I'll try, and we'll take them apart on the spot. But I, so far, always had luck and haven't cut a boat yet, but awful tight. Had to bump rocks, so I bumped one rock to another one. Water mainly today is so swirly all through here.
The beauty in the Grand Canyon from this perspective is unparalleled, particularly when the weather is good. Over 20,000 float the Colorado River each year, including commercial and private trips that last from 3 to 21 days. 16 commercial outfitters are licensed to take paying clients down the Colorado through Grand Canyon National Park. Camping on fine sand beaches, sleeping under the stars, and the camaraderie of the river experience is part and parcel of a journey down the river. For many, that is almost equal to the excitement of world-class whitewater adventure here. Georgie doesn't sleep on the sand. She sleeps on her boat so that she can feel a change in the river in case she needs to reposition boats before morning. She's also the first one up every day, getting things started.
It'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. I love tomorrow.
The biggest day on the river.
I love tomorrow.
What day on the river is that for you?
Third day. Well, I say it's the biggest day on the river. That's, yeah, the most rapids. Yeah, I get the most rapids.
The north rim of the Grand Canyon is about 1,000 feet higher than the south rim, with an average elevation of about 8,000 feet, soaring up to 9,000. Sunrise at Bright Angel Point is a favorite location for photographers. The historic Grand Canyon Lodge is one of the first permanent landmarks in the park, often seen even before the canyon itself. Built in 1928, the first lodge was destroyed by fire in 1932. This 1937 lodge now has replaced it with a rustic magnificence that many believe is one of the best in the national park system. Dining here is complemented with a breathtaking view of the canyon. There's a large deck with massive stone fireplace for afternoon ranger talks, in addition to other decks where one can just take in the beauty of the Grand Canyon. There's a large campground on the north rim. Reservations are recommended, and stays are limited to 7 days. Here too, the kaibab squirrel. The only place in the world that it lives is the north rim of the Grand Canyon. The North Rim scenic drives are a good way to see the sights, plus access hiking trails along the rim. The Cape Royal Point at the end of the rim drive is a breathtaking stone peninsula of narrow rock jutting out into the canyon with a window arch below. At the right angle, you can photograph the Colorado River through the window. Out on the viewpoint, sweeping 180-degree vistas of the Grand Canyon. The National Park Service has almost 400 entities it lists as official units of the National Park System. In addition to national parks, this list includes military parks, battlefields, historic sites and parks, historical parks, monuments, preserves, memorials, recreation areas, parkways, trails, wild rivers, scenic riverways, sea and lake shores. But as they say in those infamous infomercials, but wait, there's more? Over 80,000 more national treasures within the Park Service fold, natural landmarks, historic places, heritage areas like Motor Cities in Detroit, or smokestacks and silos in rural Iowa. The vast collection of natural and historic sites within the National Park Service purview is what this series, Discoveries America National Parks, is all about. Once finished, we'll have over 40 one-hour programs to help you explore this vast and remarkable United States of America. Thanks for watching this episode of Discoveries America National Parks.